Can Germany survive a collapse? For decades, Germany presented itself as Europe's economic backbone. Its factories powered the continent, its cars were sold around the world, and made in Germany became synonymous with quality engineering. Germany also cultivated an image of political predictability. Centrist parties dominated. Coalitions could be difficult, but the system remained stable, and the far right stayed in the margins. But the old German model is starting to break down. The country's economy has endured years of stagnation. Its industrial model is facing growing pressure from China and increasing production costs, while its automotive industry is grappling with the global shift to electric vehicles. Its population is aging, and Berlin is being forced to spend far more on defense while trying to maintain one of Europe's most extensive welfare systems. At the same time, confidence in Germany's political center is weakening. Recent polling has put the far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD, ahead of Chancellor Friedrich Merz' CDU/CSU. And in 2 eastern states voting in September, AfD is polling even higher. So Germany is facing a fundamental question. Can its political center survive while the economic model beneath it is falling apart? Germany isn't in economic freefall, but it has been struggling for years. After shrinking in both 2023 and 2024, GDP grew by just 0.2% in 2025.
Der Sachverständigenrat prognostiziert für das Bruttoinlandsprodukt eine Wachstumsrate von 0,2% in diesem Jahr und von 0,9% im kommenden Jahr. Das sind schlechte Zahlen.
And for 2026, Germany halved its economic growth forecast to 0.5%, down from 1% driven by energy market shocks and rising inflation. And the problem goes much deeper. For years, Germany benefited from a powerful formula: cheap energy, strong manufacturing, huge export markets, and enormous demand from China. Now every part of that formula is under pressure. Energy has become more expensive, global trade has become more fragmented, and China has gone from being one of Germany's biggest customers to one of its biggest competitors. That's particularly painful for German industry because Germany doesn't just sell products, it sells the machines used to make them. Its economic strength was built on sophisticated manufacturing, engineering, and automotive technology, and China is increasingly competing in those exact industries. Nowhere is that more obvious than in Germany's automotive industry. For decades, Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz symbolized the strength of German manufacturing. But the global car market has changed dramatically. Electric vehicles have weakened some of the advantages traditional manufacturers spent decades building. Chinese car makers have become formidable competitors, and European manufacturers are being forced to cut costs while pouring billions into new technology. The pain is spreading beyond the big brands. German automotive suppliers are cutting jobs and delaying investment. And in a country where manufacturing supports millions of livelihoods, that's not an industry problem, it's a political problem. Because when factories close, jobs disappear, and communities lose opportunities, voters don't necessarily blame globalization. They blame the politicians in charge, and that's where Germany's economic problems start becoming political ones. Germany's economic problems are arriving just as Berlin is needing to spend more money. The biggest new demand is defense. Russia's war in Ukraine transformed Germany's security calculations. And pressure from the US and NATO has pushed European governments to dramatically increase military spending. Germany has responded by loosening its fiscal rules to make room for defense. Its draft 2027 budget puts the defense ministry's spending at around $126.4 billion. Broader defense-related expenditures will push the bill even higher, but the military isn't Berlin's only expensive problem. Germany also needs to fix its railways, upgrade roads, roads and bridges, digitize government, invest in energy infrastructure, support new industries, and keep paying for pensions, healthcare, and social protection. But there's just one problem. There isn't an unlimited pot of money. Germany's aging population makes that even harder. There are fewer workers supporting a growing number of retirees, and that's putting enormous pressure on pensions. A commission appointed under Chancellor Merz has proposed adding a Swedish-style investment component to the pension system. It has also proposed gradually raising the retirement age as life expectancy increases. Unsurprisingly, that's already facing resistance from trade unions and parts of the political left.
Also ich glaube einfach, dass unsere letzte Regierung vieles falsch gemacht hat, ob angefangen in der Industrie, ob Energiepolitik und viele andere Faktoren. Und deshalb bin ich eigentlich sicher, dass egal was die neue Regierung macht, ich glaube, dass wir da wieder aus diesem Loch rauskommen können und auch wieder schaffen werden, vernünftig Arbeitsplätze, energiepolitisch natürlich auch ganz andere Themen anpacken, auch eine vernünftige Energiepolitik betreiben, die auch für die Menschen halt eben bezahlbar ist, weil das ist ja auch mit ein großes Problem, dass halt eben teilweise die Energie und alleine vom Heizen, vom Strom her, von Automobilbranche und ähnliches alles ja gar nicht finanzierbar war. Und deshalb bin ich eigentlich zuversichtlich.
And pensions are only one part of the battle over social spending. The government is also trying to reform unemployment support and get more people to work. The logic is straightforward. Germany needs more workers, it needs higher productivity, and it needs to prevent its public finances from becoming even more strained. But politically, that's a nightmare because these reforms are arriving when many Germans already feel economically insecure. So Berlin is effectively telling voters, accept the pain now and trust us that things will get better later. That's a difficult sell. Friedrich Merz entered office as Germany's chancellor, promising to turn Germany around. His coalition brings together the center-right CDU/CSU and the center-left SPD. On paper, that's a broad political base. In reality, the government has struggled to win public confidence. Polling shows deep dissatisfaction with both the coalition and Merz himself.
I think the core issue is that there was a certain atmosphere created even by CDU and Merz himself about the former government, so the traffic light coalition, the Ampelkoalition. So a picture that they are not able to do their job, that they are arguing all the time, and that it will be different. And now we are in a situation where many people might have the same impression again, that the new government kind of feels like the old government regarding their style of communication. They're arguing all the time and not getting things done.
But there's an even bigger contradiction. Germans overwhelmingly say the country needs fundamental reforms, yet far fewer appear willing to accept the sacrifices those reforms could require. They want better infrastructure, but don't want higher taxes. They want stronger defense, but don't necessarily want cuts elsewhere. They want secure pensions, but don't want to work longer. They want economic growth, but many resist the painful reforms economists say may be needed to produce it. And mainstream politicians are stuck in the middle. That's where the AfD has found its opportunity. The party was once treated as a political outsider. Today, it's competing for first place nationally. And its rise is even more dramatic in eastern Germany. In Sachsen-Anhalt, which votes on September 6, the AfD is polling at around 41%. In Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, which votes 2 weeks later, it's at around 36%. These are state elections, but their significance goes far beyond 2 states. Because if the AfD emerges as the dominant political force in one or both regions, it'll show that the party is moving beyond protest politics and potentially towards governing.
Der AfD, was es da geht, die fangen genau die Ängste der Menschen auf, die Veränderung der Welt, die passiert, die können auch die AfD nicht ändern. Besonders im Osten, die haben das nicht gelernt, durch die Diktatur innere Ressourcen anzusammeln für Problemlösungen. Das haben die nicht. Und jetzt suchen sie jemanden, der ihnen das alles wegnimmt und die einfache Lösung, wenn die da sind, dann wird sich alles ändern.
So why is the AfD so strong in the East? Immigration matters, and the AfD has exploited anti-immigrant sentiment for populist gains. But analysts say economic frustration is also crucial. Many eastern regions still have lower incomes, shrinking populations, worker shortages, and fewer opportunities than parts of Western Germany. And for some voters, there's still a sense that reunification never delivered the prosperity they were promised. The AfD has turned that frustration into a simple message. The establishment failed you, the traditional parties failed you. Germany needs radical change. That message can be powerful in communities that feel left behind. But economists warn some AfD policies could actually make those problems worse. The party's hostility towards immigration could deepen Germany's worker shortage. And dramatically changing Germany's relationship with the European Union could carry huge risks for an economy built around exports. So the AfD's rise may not be the answer to Germany's economic crisis. It may be one of its biggest political consequences. Germany's mainstream parties have responded with what's known as a firewall. No coalition or formal political cooperation with the AfD. The CDU, SPD, and other mainstream parties have maintained that position at the federal level. But the stronger the AfD gets, the more difficult that firewall becomes. What happens when a party supported by 30 or 40% of voters becomes the biggest party in a state? Can everyone else simply keep governing without it? Supporters of the firewall argue the AfD has moved too far outside Germany's democratic consensus. AfD supporters argue that excluding the party means excluding millions of voters. And every time the political establishment closes ranks against it, the AfD gets another opportunity to portray itself as the victim of a system trying to silence it. And now Germany is debating something even more explosive. Could the AfD actually be banned? Germany's constitution allows the Federal Constitutional Court to ban parties that seek to undermine or abolish the country's free democratic order. But banning a political party is an extraordinary step. The government can't simply order it, the Constitutional Court would have to decide. Supporters argue Germany's post-war constitution was specifically designed to prevent anti-democratic movements from destroying democracy from within. Opponents warn that banning a party backed by millions of voters could deepen political alienation and potentially make the movement even stronger. So Germany is confronting two very different ideas of protecting democracy. One says democracy must defend itself from forces that threaten it. The other asks how democratic is a system that bans a party supported by millions of voters. There isn't an easy answer. And that brings us to September, not a federal election, but two state elections that could have national consequences. Sachsen-Anhalt votes first, then Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. The AfD is leading in both. If it performs anywhere near current polling, Merz will face a political problem that can't simply be dismissed as an Eastern German phenomenon, especially when the AfD is already challenging his coalition nationally. At the same time, his government is attempting a huge economic transformation. It's borrowing and investing on a scale Germany has historically resisted. Increasing defense spending, reforming pensions, changing the labor market, cutting bureaucracy, and trying to revive an industrial economy that's lost momentum. Some economists say those reforms could improve Germany's long-term prospects, but they'll take time. And time is exactly what struggling governments don't have. Germany built much of its modern reputation around the idea that its economy was disciplined, its institutions dependable, and its industry difficult to rival. But something fundamental changed along the way. The old German economic formula no longer guarantees prosperity, and the old political formula no longer guarantees stability. Berlin is being forced to choose between defense, welfare, investment, and fiscal restraint, while millions of voters are turning towards a far-right party promising to break with the establishment altogether. And that has put Germany in real danger. Not simply that the AfD is rising, but that the political center is losing its ability to convince voters that it has credible answers. If Merz can revive growth, fix infrastructure, and make painful reforms work, he may rebuild some of that trust. But if Germans experience the pain without seeing the payoff, frustration could get even worse. And the AfD could become even stronger because Germany's political and economic crises aren't separate anymore. They're feeding each other. Economic stagnation fuels political anger. Political instability makes reform harder, and failed reform creates even more anger. Germany now has to break that cycle. Because if Europe's traditional economic powerhouse can't fix itself, the consequences won't stop at Germany's borders.